is well known to many of you. His name is Omar Bradley Smith. And he gave us a history about Bradley. But we welcome to our show the citizen Omar Smith, leader of the National chairperson of the DNA. I'll get him in trouble, and an all around good friend of mine, and of course a person known to us all. He has been casting one or two opinions online we thought were important and interesting about what's going on in the country. But before we move to Omar and formally welcome him, let me say to our listeners, we encourage you to look to this time slot, 11 to 12, at Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I will be on, hopefully, wherever I am in this world, to speak to issues which impact you and your lives. Today, they're now collecting the body bags. We are now learning the truth, which is that it's more than the 20 or 27 persons who have died. We're hearing tremendous complaints around the world. That's it. Social media. The complaints are there about people finding it difficult to bring the relief that Bahamians need in the shores of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas at this terrible and this difficult time. We are also getting incredible videos about rescue and so forth by Bahamians, average everyday Bahamians, at this difficult time in our lives. So what we want to do is we're going to begin with a special video that everyone has seen, but we want to begin with this video to set the stage for the next conversation, because we need to understand why Americans are complaining about their ability about their ability to rescue Bahamians. So we're going to go to this video, and we'll come right back and we'll start this chat with Omar Smith. Hurricane Dorian, that's what this show is going to be all about, the aftermath. Mr. Producer. Omar.
Yes, Fayne.
When I saw that video, it brought tears to my eyes. I'll tell you why, for a couple of reasons. First, the fact that just the average guy found it necessary to go out and endanger his life to rescue Bahamians. It brought tears to my eyes because of the depth of that water and the danger involved in going into that yard, not knowing where a fence is, not knowing where cars were. It brought tears to my eyes because of the height of the water, but the bad weather. It brought tears to my eyes when I saw 7 Bahamians being pulled out of a roof. And the man had no idea what he was doing, but on faith, just a raw natural faith in his ability and hopefully good luck and the grace of an Almighty, he decided to go and do what he did. And he took that team in and he brought those Bahamians out. It also brought tears to my eyes because I heard his voice crack when he said, "Look at Freeport. Look at Freeport." In other words, we've come to this. That is what this natural disaster has done to us. Omar Bradley Smith, when you saw that video, I don't know how you reacted, I know how I reacted. I felt it was necessary to immortalize that video. Because when they talk about our young men, that's another thing too. Let me be real, Omar. When they talk about our young men, they demonize them so easily. I saw some jet ski drivers too, Omar, the other day. On another video, I'm not going to post someone right now, riding in the bad boys. The bad boys. That's how they refer to them, the bad boys. But as Grand Bahama disaster cowboys, they went and they rescued people. Omar, what say you about that particular rescue? What say you about this existential moment we seem to be living in?
Well, good afternoon, Brother Fayne. Good afternoon, Bahamas. Without a doubt, we in the Bahamas are facing a catastrophe and crisis that we haven't seen in our lifetime. Mm-hmm. This is a generational crisis, a generational event of epic proportions. And in times of crisis, it's a very revealing phenomenon. What it does is it brings out the true character of people. Mm-hmm. It reveals who you really are. And it's interesting that you show a video of those young men who many in society look at as, the ones that are outside of the norm, outside of the law and order, mm-hmm. outside of the establishment. Mm-hmm. And to see that they are the ones in the time of crisis that show their character, mm-hmm. Show their willingness to put their lives at risk to save their fellow Bahamian. Mm-hmm. And so, in that light, it is very important now for us to look for our leaders in our country. Mm-hmm. Our leaders will step forward.
Absolutely.
These are the times where leadership counts the most. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, when the smooth seas, you can get by with a captain. Mm-hmm. That may not be that good. But there was a saying that a wise old man once told me when I was going through some tough times. He said to me, Omar, smooth seas is not a good mariner make. And so right now in the Bahamas, we are going through some rough seas. Mm-hmm. And what's called for now is for us to have the good mariners in our country, the good mariners, the good captains to come forth and guide us through these wide and treacherous shoals. Mm-hmm. And Fayne, I'm telling you, this is not an easy thing that we're dealing with.
No, sir. No,
the
sir.
ramifications of this, we're going to be dealing with it for now and then for the next coming years. Yeah. And so it's important now that we put on our leadership hats. We put on our patriotic hats. Mm-hmm. And we do that which is necessary for our country to move forward. And I'm telling you this, I know Bahamian people. I know my people. we will come through this.
Absolutely.
The same spirit you saw in those young men, Fayne, is the spirit of the Bahamian people. And I tell you, we will rise from this and we will be a better people at the end of this exercise.
Omar, I want to ask you an important question, but before I do that, when we have these honors commemorating people who've essentially, it's all relative as regards what they've done to contribute to our country, but there's some heroes who should be recognized. Not just one, not just two, hundreds and thousands, hundreds of them across the northern Bahamas now are heroes, and some people never hear the stories. I heard one story about somebody having to rescue a family of 10, swam from their house to another house in 10-foot waves or 10-foot seas. And I'm saying to myself, that is unimaginable. In the darkness with children on their back, and someone opened their door, endangered their lives, and opened their door with water rushing in to allow them to come in and rescue their lives. You know what? If you don't believe in a greater divinity, then there's something seriously wrong. But Omar, are we having the kind of response to this disaster that is necessary, that is needed? You've been hearing the reports. You've seen the American stations complaining. Not one, not two. Multiple U.S.-based stations are complaining. Are we Monday morning quarterbacking unfairly this government?
Well, Brother Fayne, I'm telling you, and this is not even Monday morning quarterback, because we are not outside the game. We are still in the game.
That is true.
There are still people on the ground in these islands who are trapped, who may need assistance, who may be holding on to their last gasp of life.
That's right.
Waiting for rescue.
That's right.
So I am the first person to tell you, in these times of crisis, there's no time to point fingers and play the blame game and even to play politics.
I get you.
But I'll tell you this, when you have people whose lives are on the line, you have people who may be down to their last few gasps of life, trapped under rubble. This is the time where we need to get to these people as soon as possible. And so when I make these statements, it's not a critique of our leadership, but it's to say these are things that has to be done. If there are roadblocks or red tape that is holding back people from coming in and rescuing, those need to be gone. This is not the time to be holding back help. This is not the time to frustrate efforts. This is the time to allow all and sundry, all hands on deck. Listen, there's going to be no fault and no blame cast upon our leaders if they say, listen, this is above what we have bargained for, and we cannot do this alone. Nobody will judge them, because this is something that has never been faced, for sure, in our generation. This is a hurricane that has never, the strength of which has never touched land before. So it's not time to be prideful. There are many Bahamians who have the aptitude in order to bring their expertise and to bring their insights into solving these issues and to rescuing these people. So I'm still telling you this. Yes, there are definitely areas where we could have done better, but right now it's time for us to make those adjustments. We've got to be able to make changes on the fly. We've got to be able to respond and deal with the rough seas that we're facing. And we've got to be able to come through for those people who may be holding on to life.
That's right.
And so I admonish our administration to reach out to those people to make the necessary adjustments, to make the corrections. Because the Bahamian lives are counting on what they do right now and going forward.
Give me some practical assessments. For example, we understand that there's one group of a group who came down from British Columbia, Canada. They're now literally waiting at the airport to get permission to this is what the American stations are reporting. Then there's another story we hear. Are there ways that you think you think the bureaucracy is the problem? Because you're right, Omar. Clearly, and first let me also thank the Jamaican government, the Barbadian government, and big brother to the North, the United States government, and the cooperation of the Bahamian government in terms of the effort so far. But are there some things that we can do to reduce the red tape? Do you think they're thinking in those terms? What could we possibly do? Do we as a people need to write letters to our Prime Minister to say, listen, man, try your best just to loosen up the red tape. Don't worry too much about duty. Just ensure that they are genuine rescuers and let them in. Let them do their work. Monitor them, yes. Give them a time frame within which to do their work, and then and rescue our people. East Grand Bahama is still underwater, Omar. East Grand Bahama is still underwater.
Well, Fayne, I'll tell you this. There are crises and natural disasters and catastrophes that happen all over the world. Some of the biggest ones have happened just in the United States of America. There are people who have experience in natural disasters and natural disaster response. If our government is overwhelmed, if NEMA is overwhelmed, then they can reach out to those who are right across the border to the United States coordination of the efforts. And listen, no one will judge them harshly for saying that they don't have the experience to deal with what they're facing now in terms of a disaster. But the experience is out there. If they need consultations, if they need consultants to assist in that, people who have done it before, people who have made the mistakes that they may be making now and learn from it, then they should bring those people in and let them assist them in dealing with what we're facing today. Because this is an issue of coordination. For example, you and I in our private conversation, you mentioned there have been reports of unrest on the ground
yes.
because of a lack of resources.
Yes.
There could have been airdrops, as soon as the weather settled. If you had people walking on the ground looking and scavenging,
airdrops.
You know what?
That's
the
right.
weather would have been good enough for them to airdrop supplies, food, water, so there would not have been a competition for those resources.
Yes, yes.
And so these are the type of things that could be done from those who had experience in these types of conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And so, listen, I implore our leadership to not believe that because they are the prime minister or the ministers to say, listen, we're going to handle this. No. Sometimes it's best to say, let me go to the experts. Let me go to someone who may have the experience in this and let them assist me in being the best leader that I can be. And so this is why I'm imploring to our leadership in this country at this time.
Well, let me also put this to you then. You mentioned something about looting and so forth. Let me deal with the so-called elephant in the room. The Haitian Bahamian community and the Haitian community I should say the regularized community is complaining about access to supplies. Their complaint is, and some people are saying that all the difficulties is arising, some of the difficulties are arising because of this, that the supplies are not being evenly distributed. Now, we're not on the ground. We don't have the ability to see exactly what is what. But does that surprise you that we're beginning to hear these type of complaints? And how do we deal with it? I have to ask you this question.
Well, Fayne, I'm telling you this. Like I said before, during a crisis, I mean, even in death, when we have deaths in our families, it's these times that brings out the best. And you mentioned the best in those young jet skiers, those young men who are the jet ski operators. But sometimes it brings out the worst. And so, I am not on the ground, and all of these things that I'm hearing are all unconfirmed. But if that is the case, what should have been done is that I don't think anyone would justify the rationing of resources unevenly. I mean, human life is human life.
Yes, indeed.
The life of a Haitian or the life of a Bahamian or a Jamaican or whatever. No life is more important than the other.
Especially in the situation.
At this time,
absolutely.
There's no time for that.
Yeah.
And I would find it hard to believe that people would be doing that. And if they are, then if they were within earshot of our broadcast, I would implore them to stop. Don't do that. That is not the Bahamian way, and we are better than that.
Well, my policy definitely then is a big part of what we must think about moving forward. The aftermath of these hurricanes. First, the question is, are we a viable nation with, in terms of our infrastructure, with 185 mile an hour storm surges, etc., and winds? My question to you, is there some new model that we could look at in terms of anticipating the aftermath of these events? Because clearly we have to give that great thought. I mean, it cannot be that we're just now trying to move material to Abaco, knowing now Abaco's now had 3 major hurricanes. The last one which destroyed Abaco was in 1936, 1934, or thereabouts. This has destroyed Abaco. Is there a new model that we must look at? Have you given that some thought? In terms of a new model we must look at to anticipate the aftermath of these events?
Well, after we have these natural disasters, I know it's easy for us to try and say what we should have done. But I'll tell you this, and like I said before, we're not out of the woods right now. We are still in the middle of a national disaster. There are still people out there who may be alive, trapped under debris, trapped in homes, who are waiting to be rescued. But if we're going to be looking forward as to ways in which we can militate against these types of loss and in the aftermath, or even to minimize the type of damage, yes, there are many things that we must start to look at. As a country that is archipelagic, one that is very, very low in terms of sea level, there are certain challenges that we will have. There are certain challenges that we've been having. And in the light of global warming,
yes,
there are some decisions that have to be made.
Give me, but
you know what? I'm not going to say that I have all the answers.
Okay.
But I do think that I may have some insight on some of the things in the direction that we should be heading. And there's some of the things that we should be looking at. Number one is the design of our homes. Secondly, the different codes for different areas in the Bahamas for different, for example, if you live in Marshall, a place that always floods, there should be different zoning codes for building in those areas. It can't be the same building codes if you're building on highland or you're building on land that's much higher elevated, for example. Other things that we discussed earlier, for example, in the immediate aftermath of a storm, there should be maybe storerooms of supplies on different sides of our country. For example, we have a storehouse for supplies in the northern Bahamas. Yeah. One maybe in New Providence where the city is. Maybe one down south in Inagua. So if a killer hurricane comes through our country, the likelihood of it destroying the whole country is very low. And so we will be able to have the resources on hand regardless of where we're hit. And additionally, we have helicopters. We should have helicopters and standard operating procedures in place. So as soon as these things happen, even if the runways are impassable, if the seas are maybe rough, but even that, we should have helicopters in place or a contract with helicopter companies that will come in, even if we don't own them ourselves, have a contract with them to come in and drop ship supplies on the ground right away. So there would be no need for the fear and the fight for the scarcity of resources. Additionally, there are countries, for example, like Holland. Their country is below sea level, but they have found ways to have a life, a sustainable life, notwithstanding that. And I remember, I don't know if you heard the story. There's a very famous story in Holland, that story where a young man became a hero when he was walking past a dam.
That's right.
And there was a crack in the dam.
That's right.
And he put his finger in that dam.
That's
because
right.
He knew.
Yeah, heard the story.
If that dam had cracked, the whole city would have been destroyed. And so there are options that right now, those of us who may not be involved directly in the rescue and recovery, that we can start to look into those things down the line. But there has to be a national discussion, but not only a discussion, but a national investigation and a whole study into how are we going to respond as a country and put those things in place, which we know that will be needed. And Fayne, I'll tell you something that's extremely important for us right now. We know that in the Bahamas, we are some of the lowest lying countries, one of the lowest lying countries in the world.
Absolutely.
That means that the sea levels are rising with global warming.
That's right.
We, as a people, we should have a plan, a deadline, that we will not be using fossil fuels again in our country to power our country. Fossil fuels there should be a date where there should be no fossil fuels. And in the light of us buying these generators, these diesel generators, that should never be in our long-term plan. As a matter of fact, we should be using wave technology, solar and wind technology, renewables that do not add to the carbon footprint. Because if we continue doing this, it's almost like we're committing suicide.
That's what it is.
We're adding to the problem
That's what it is.
that is causing our country to suffer these catastrophes.
Omar, it's a pleasure talking to you. Now, what we're going to do is I have to ask a political question. We're also speaking to the chairman of the DNA, the Democratic National Alliance, and I know you made it very clear. You want to come on and contribute, and I made it very clear that this was not going to be a partisan type event. I see that the leadership of the PLP has taken a certain stance. I see in terms of plenty photo ops I see going on. The government has taken a certain stance. Will you be developing a position? Perhaps, I don't want to call it a position paper, but clearly this is the existential moment. We need guidance. The Green Party is the DNA. What say you, Mr. National Chairman, about putting some of these great ideas that you have into writing and then making the demand? Because clearly, we can't go through it again and again and again and again and again and again. And that's what's going to happen.
Yes. Fayne, without a doubt, the DNA, we have been working assiduously before this hurricane. Right now, as we speak, we have drop-off points. If you go on our website, we have drop-off points, one in Oaksfield, another Carmichael Road, where we're collecting stuff to aid. We're assisting with feeding, so people who are coming in to the Kendall GLI's gym. We had some nice hot sauce this morning, and we're doing what we can, and also too, we're waiting for the all clear so we can go into these islands and do our part and facilitate whatever efforts that we can my brothers. But in terms of moving forward, the Democratic National Alliance, we are, well, first, as you mentioned, we are the Green Party in more ways than one. The response going forward for the next generation of Bahamians, it cannot be a solution that encompasses fossil fuels.
Absolutely.
Fossil fuels, like I said before, that are contributing to the problem that we have today.
Graham Rutherford is also a big time. A lot of ecologists and environmentalists are also very, very adamant about the design of homes, especially on the foreshore, on the beaches. The design of homes. The square design is ancient now. It's old. The design on the ground is ancient. It's old. They must be elevated and made circular. We have to embrace the strength and power of Mother Nature. We can't pretend as if she doesn't exist. What say you?
Yes, we've looked at dome homes. As a matter of fact, I was looking at one of the suppliers in India. There are many different models of homes, but there are many ways to look at a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody mentioned if you have a dome home, then it doesn't stop the waters from coming up and washing out underneath you or coming above your home or seeping into your home.
Yes.
So there are many different factors that have to be considered. People talked about building shelters or building churches up to specs that can act as shelters. But if you build a church that can be a shelter, but the roads leading to the shelter are going to be underwater, then that basically negates the purpose of the shelter.
Mm-hmm.
So the approach has to be a holistic approach.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, there are many different places that are dealing with this issue. Holland, they have dams, they are under sea level, and they are able to thrive and survive in that environment. So there are definitely solutions out there. The question is, do we have the will, the political will, to go through and follow through the solutions in order that we will survive, but not only survive, but to thrive in this next millennium coming up. And I'll tell you, the DNA, we're committed to it. We will find the solutions. We will go out there and we will put together a comprehensive plan moving forward for hurricane preparedness. And not only that, in terms of how do we go forward in making our country one that will withstand these types of events, but not only that, be prepared for them when they come. Mm-hmm. It can't be at this late stage in time that we're still looking for approvals for people to come in. I spoke to one of my colleagues in Bermuda. She's saying that they have stuff ready, but they're still waiting. So the reports of the red tape, it's true. Mm-hmm. And so those are the things that have to be smoothed out and gone over, so that if these things happen, we have a staging ground and right away be able to move. We should be able to hit the ground running. We live in the Hurricane Alley. Mm-hmm. It's no surprise that hurricanes are coming. And Fayne, this is the thing I wanted to say. It's so interesting. People always say to me, some people say to me, Omar, how do you live, my foreign friends, how do you live in a place where hurricanes always come? And this is what I say to them. There are places, if I have to deal with a natural disaster that comes all the time, I would much rather deal with a hurricane, because I can see a hurricane coming. A hurricane comes off the coast of Africa, we see them for weeks, mm-hmm. and we track them slowly day by day as they come towards us. And so if you're not prepared for the hurricane that takes that long to come, mm-hmm. then it's not shame on the hurricane, it's shame on you.
Yes,
and so we've got to be able to be proactive. Tornadoes, you can't be prepared for a tornado because you don't know what's coming. An earthquake in California, you don't know when an earthquake is going to come. But a hurricane we know. We should be better prepared.
Listen, we've had Omar Smith on, a nation builder, father, parent, concerned citizen. He just happens also to wear the hat of party chairman, the Democratic National Alliance. We appreciate the time that you've given us, Omar. Omar, any final thoughts before you leave us? And thank you very much for your time. We want you to look forward to, we want to have you someday in studio to have a greater conversation about wider things. But let me say that you've hit the nail on the head. We have to redesign the way in which we anticipate these monster events. Your final thoughts, Omar. Your final thoughts.
Well, listen, Fayne, and to those who are listening, I want the Bahamas to know that yes, these are some of our darkest days. But I want to tell you that these are nothing compared to the bright days that are going to come from us. We are resilient people. We will make the adjustments. We will make, listen, Bahamians are winners on the world stage. We always overcome. This may shake our belief, this may shake our resolve, but it will not break us. We will show not only ourselves, we will show the world. We will show the world. We will show the world how great we are. And we will overcome this. And listen, to those who may be in Grand Bahama and Abaco, I have every belief that and you will get help. The government of Bahamas will figure it out. They must figure it out.
Yes, absolutely.
And we are here, the DNA, we are here for advice. We're here to give our hand and help. And I'll tell you, the Bahamas will overcome this. Fayne, thank you very much.
Thank you.
God bless the Bahamas.
Absolutely.
There will be a better day in the Bahamas.
This has been a great interview, Omar Bradley Smith. Thank you very much. We're going to take a break right now. We're going to be back hopefully with Luby Georges. Omar, thank you very much for joining us today and giving your take. We hopefully will have Luby on the other end. Let's take a break right now. Thank you, Omar.
All right, you're welcome, Fayne. Take care. Good day.
Zigzag is gone, Jesus.
Runway's under about 3 feet of water. I can make out all the runway markings.
Abagoya is gone. Yeah. Cherokee's gone. Underwater.
Fire station is gone.
Fire station gone. Jesus. Gone.
Yeah, we're in the background.
All right.
Oh my God!
There you go.
Wait, hold on, man. Let me see this. Let me see where he go. He can
Yeah.
try. Oh!
Can you hear me? Can you hear me though? Sure.
Welcome back to our show. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Fayne Thompson on the Fayne Thompson Show. We're here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we have another very special guest online, and I hope he's there. Luby, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you very much, Luby, for your time. We have Luby Georges on the line. No one needs to be introduced in terms of who Luby Georges is. He's a Bahamian. He's a contributor to this national life. He's a national hero. He is a piece of work. But he's a man who definitely has the passion and the spirit for speaking to the issues which impact our nation. What is going on in Abaco is quite sad, and Luby will of course have his take on it, and we invited him in to come in and join us. We also have in the studio Graham Rutherford. We're going to invite Graham to say a few words a little later on. But first, Luby, let me welcome you formally to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Well, Shane, thank you for having me, and congratulations. The airways, be it over radio, television, or the internet, this is you.
I appreciate you coming. And listen, the reason why it's so important to have you in is because straight up, we have so many things which need to be dispelled. But having said that, you have your ears on the ground in a special way. What's going on the ground? Luby, do you intend to go? What's going on in Abaco? What's going on from the point of view of Bahamians, of Haitian descent? What's going on from what you understand to be the case?
I'm saying, there's a lot happening in Abaco at the moment. And we must state also that there's a lot happening in Grand Bahama also.
That's right.
Primarily, for the sake of this conversation, and I think you invited me with Abaco in mind, because we've been hearing a lot of voice notes, videos coming through. Are you guys okay with the audio? Can you hear me today?
Absolutely, it's improved much a great deal. Yes.
Okay. I think it's like a little bit closer. So yeah. So we've been staying in the loop as it relates to what's been happening on the news, what's been happening in social media, the voice notes that's been sending out there, the audio clips that's been going around out there. We heard them all, and we have our own agent.
Mm-hmm.
We have our own agent, sorry. We are our phone device will attach,
no problem.
We come through.
No problem.
I'm going to quickly, as they come, I'm going to quickly decline the call, so it may cause there to be a little bit in our conversation from time to time.
No
I
problem.
apologize in advance for that. But nonetheless, we have our own agents, and we have friends, we have family members. We have persons that we're connected with who are on the ground in Abaco, who are from the Haitian communities. During the storm, we had persons who were giving us constant updates at the shelters where they were at. Two of those shelters would have been the St. Francis Catholic Church. Another one was St. Francis Catholic Church and the International Gospel Ministry. Mind you, both churches, I don't think, were on the official government shelters list, but nonetheless, it was a safe haven. It was safer than the homes, obviously in the mud and the Vision Bees and some of the surrounding areas. We've since lost contact with both of the individuals who were updating us. We've lost contact with them from early Monday. We've not been in contact with them, but thankfully 2 days ago, we had another individual that we are very close with. As soon as a live went up in Abaco, contacted me and was giving me some updates on some people that I was asking about and what the situation was like at the clinic where she was. Since Wednesday, this individual has been sleeping in her boyfriend's Jeep because there's no space at the government complex or at the clinic. It's only standing room. You literally should say that you cannot sit down. They've been being asked to leave the clinic because I think medical personnel are now moving in and they're going to have to treat persons with acute situations. And so they've been asked to move. They asked the individuals, as it was reported to me allegedly, that they were asked to go to some school. And then the roof was being prepared, was being fixed. They were trying to make it as suitable as possible for persons to go on over to this school and leave the clinic. A personal friend of mine and my little sister's best friend just got into Nassau today, yesterday, paid $75 per head, which I think is atrocious, which I think is man. Listen, I cannot find the words to describe
Speak.
the fact that
Speak freely.
Mohammed there and whomever is a part of the top brass
Speak freely.
would charge victims of the storm to be evacuated from Abaco.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, thank God, she and her sisters, they made it safely here to Nassau. They had a couple of dollars on them. They paid their way and they're here. They told us about some of the bad treatments they were receiving at the government complex and the clinic. I don't want to stir up any negativity. I don't want to start something else over social media because people are watching. But off the record, it really sounds like the situation and the patients' tempers are flaring up. It sounds like some people are saying that they were experiencing inhumane treatment at the hands of the persons who were placed in charge of managing the shelters. Also, we've been in constant contact with the Haitian embassy here in Nassau. I've been moving around in Nassau on a number of occasions with the chargé d'affaires, Mr. Norval Gardier. He's the new chargé d'affaires for the Haitian embassy. Unfortunately, they have not gone down to Abaco as yet. I think they should have been down there from day one. They should have attached themselves some way, somehow. They should have attached themselves some way, somehow to, or with the government to try to, piggyback on one of those flights or boat rides over, helicopter rides over to Abaco to assess the problem, to speak to the Haitian community and to try to calm down the situation. It is very heated in Abaco, as I understand, and I'm not talking about the sun, which is very hot also, which is another bad situation without any shelter.
No shelter.
Trees.
That's right. That's
They
right.
building structures to hide
That's
from
right. That's right.
the heat from the sun is another situation, but nonetheless, I'm talking about being heated in terms of the emotions,
Yes.
in terms of how people are feeling.
That's a disrespect.
State of desperation obviously has set in. Imagine losing absolutely everything, no food, no water, the aid isn't really and truly getting to people. We see where the government has put in and is continuously putting in so much red tape.
Speak to
I
that.
know a person with planes who wanted to go in, and because of the red tape, could not. They wanted to take in supplies and then help by bringing out people. Persons with boats wanted to do the exact same thing. And now I'm not saying that it did not, absolutely did not happen, because yes, there were flights that did go in, yes, there were some boats that did go in, but I mean, the criteria that are being put in place, the red tape, the bureaucracy, is just making it that much harder. And in my personal opinion, Fayne and Graham, and to your viewers, I think that a state of emergency for Grand Bahama and Abaco should have been declared.
Interesting.
I think the military and through the commissioner of police should have been made in charge of both those areas and not the prime minister, and allow the military personnel with their training and their experience to guard both islands and to determine ports of entry and to facilitate the entry of vessels, both air and sea, and facilitate the evacuation of the individual. They should completely be in charge of that process, as opposed to, voted or elected officials who are just trying to figure it out as they go. These individuals were trained for these sorts of things. And so that is what we're hearing and what we're gathering at the moment.
Luby, you said a tremendous amount. I'm gonna ask one or two questions real quick, because I really want to focus on you this segment of our show. We may have to go over a few more minutes because I then want to turn to some other issues, but specifically, is the job getting done as we speak? In your opinion, grade them out of 10. Give them a grade out of 10. Luby?
You see, I want to preface my grading by saying this. I do not know the level of training that our elected officials have, and I know that they are playing and doing maybe the best that they can. That's, again, I can't speak to their level of training and preparedness for such a disaster. Our country, this region, this hemisphere has never experienced anything like this before. And so it is a first for all of us. It is a new experience for all of us.
Yes.
You're talking about people dying. You're talking about people losing absolutely everything. But personally, in my opinion, I think more could have been done. On a scale from 1 to 10, I would give them, for now, I would give them an 8 for effort. But in terms of the results that we are reaping at the moment, I would say we're probably at a 3 or 4.
Wow. Okay, Luby, I also must put the obvious question then. Are you concerned? Are you concerned? I noticed you mentioned the need for the military to intervene. I think I noticed your mention of the police and so forth, the security personnel to intervene. From what you're hearing, is the unrest or is the civil unrest that bad? Are we not getting the correct picture on ZNS in the evening?
I think there's heightened tensions there. I don't think the civil unrest is as bad as some of the voice notes and audio clips are suggesting. People are talking about, shooting on sight. People are talking about martial law. I don't think we've gotten to that point. I think what needs to happen at this time, Fayne, is that leadership, is that recognized faces and voices, people that persons on the island can relate to, need to be down there, need to be facilitated. Their arrival, their flights need to be facilitated so that they can get there and so that they can rally up their people and speak to them directly, and they would understand them. One of the things that the Haitian community, for example, in Abaco was crying out for, and there were a few live Facebook videos yesterday conducted by Haitian individuals, and it was obviously done in Creole. Their concern was, and their plea was, they were crying out very loudly, and as the persons who were hosting the live videos were moving around and just interviewing people and just allowing the viewers to see what the situation looked like, they were asking, where is the Haitian embassy? Where is the Haitian League of Pastors? Where are our leaders? Where are our people? Where are they? We feel hopeless because we've not seen our people. You see, let's stay in reality here. The reality is that for a very long time, for whatever reasons, so we don't want to go into reasons, they've had some divisions in communities. Each community had its own identity, basically, leadership, religious, civic, and otherwise. And so you become, each individual, each community becomes familiarized with persons who claim to be their leaders, whom advocate on their behalf, whom they know are being paid, for example, the staff of the embassy, to lead them, to guide them, and to be there for them. They've not yet seen these individuals.
Why is that, Luby? Why is that? Why have they not seen, for example, persons from the embassy? Why are other persons in this community? Let me straight up, Luby. Have you been there? Why is that slow process being so slow?
Do they care?
I, Luby Georges, personally have been trying to do all that I can to get to Abaco. I think I can help with the situation, to speak with the people as someone whom they recognize, and to be told, Fayne, the community there at Abaco has reached out to me. And I've been trying my best, but, with all of the red tape that is out there, very difficult. I've been trying to, for example, just before we came on this interview, I had a Bahamian friend of mine send an audio clip the Bahamas here to see if there was any available spaces. One of the agents sent me a screenshot of all of the flights into Treasure Key, for example, and there were no seats available. And so I was trying to encourage the Haitian embassy to go down from day one, because you are officials, you are diplomats, you are recognized as the official representatives of a sovereign government, which is Haiti, a CARICOM sister nation, one that has a good relationship with the Bahamas, and one where your president pledged to assist the country. And so I'm sure, I can almost guarantee 100% that had the charge d'affaires and the top brass of the Haitian embassy reached out to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and to MP Mr. Darren Hempfield, whose constituency was directly impacted, or to the Prime Minister, that they would have been accommodated, they would have been allowed to go along, because we've seen religious leaders, we've seen all sorts of people be allowed to go to Abaco and to return and to assess the situation out there. So, in my personal opinion, the diplomats and the mission from the Haitian embassy dropped the ball on this one. But me, my team, Rights Bahamas, we've been trying all that we can to get into Abaco. One of the things that we understand is that Treasure Key is very far from Marsh Harbor.
It's about 40 minutes.
So,
that's right. Yeah.
there's no rental car companies, for example, open. And so if we get into Treasure Key, how will we get to Marsh Harbor and back to Treasure Key is another hurdle, a major hurdle for us. So we know that we could probably get a flight on Bahamas Air maybe tomorrow or when seats become available, but we need to find some form of transportation to be able to move around and get to where the people are actually at, so that we can speak to them. It is not enough thing for the government to say to you and I and to others that they have Creole translators. At this moment, with heightened tensions, that is not going to cut it. You need people whom they can relate to, whom they recognize, whom they trust, and whom they're going to listen to, not just translate on the other half.
Now, Luby, you've been powerful today. I mean, so much so that I can see where your heart is and where your passions are. But Luby, the rule of law is very important, and just to maintain the rule of law and order. I take your point. Persons who they understand, people who they trust, should be there at their sides to help in this difficult time. Luby Georges, when will you land on the ground in Marsh Harbor? Because no matter what.
As soon as I can, Fayne. Okay. Trust me. Trust you. I'm doing all that I can. Like I said, right now I expect to have a WhatsApp message from my person who is liaising with the pilot.
Okay.
That is going over at 2 p.m. That is an option as we speak.
And human rights.
But again, I'm trying to find an option to be able to come out of Abaco also, because there's a lot of work that needs to be done here in Nassau to be able to assess those people in Abaco. And so we don't want a situation where now you are stuck with them.
Yeah. Luby, we appreciate your time. Any final thoughts before we move on? We're going to do another segment. We want you to watch if you could. We want to do another segment of our show. We're going to go on for another 15 minutes, but we're going to take a break when we finish with you. Let me say this, Luby. Luby, you know where my heart, my passions are. One of the greatest people that ever lived and that will ever live is the Haitian people. Freedom in this part of the world would not be possible were not for a revolution which took place in 1804. Luby, you know what I'm talking about. What? There's no question that the next step for the recovery of our nations, for Bahamians to come together to make this happen. Bahamian Haitians of Bahamian descent, and so forth, Greeks, and so forth, white and black. What say you is your final thought about what's going to happen, what must happen now for Abaco?
Well, we got to come together, man. You know, this hurricane affected the Bahamas. Yes, it was over the Bahamas, but it affected people. It affected human beings, blacks, whites, Bahamians, Haitians, Jamaicans, Americans, Canadians. It affected people. It warms my heart also, Fayne, to see the world. The world is coming to assist us. Yeah. And it further warms my heart, Fayne, to see that our CARICOM brothers and sisters, the Caribbean, which we in the Bahamas,
You lost.
It warms my heart to see that the Caribbean is standing up, but nonetheless, Fayne, we're going to have to just stay positive. We all have to do our part, no matter what that may entail. We must do our parts to help our brothers and sisters in Abaco open up our homes, donate as we can monetarily, dry goods, food, share the right information. Do not spread propaganda. Do not spread negativity. And just band together, thing. And again, like I said, I do not want to knock the Prime Minister and his team. I think they are doing the best that they can do. It may not feel like it is enough for me, for you, or for the people. Obviously, for people that are in Abaco and Grand Bahama, it may not be enough for them. But nonetheless, I think that in this moment, they would not allow their egos to come and take over, and so much so that they would not do the best that they personally can and do what they think may be the best on behalf of these individuals. So together we can, man, and we will rise again.
That's Luby Georges, and Luby has joined us on my show, the Fayne Thompson Show. We're here again Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Luby Georges has joined us. He's given us a view which very few people will get. And I wish you well, Luby, in getting into Abaco and so forth. I know your daddy, because I see you on Facebook with those lovely kids. Your daughter one. I always see the pictures of you and your daughter. So I wish you well. And when the coast is clear and when Bahamians can travel back and forth between here and there, I want to go into Abaco too. But I know that if I go, you got to carry a sleeping bag. You got to carry your water. You got to carry your food. All of that. But I wish you well in getting into Abaco as soon as possible. And thank you very much for your time. We're going to take a break right now on the Fayne Thompson. Thank you. We're going to take a break right now on the Fayne Thompson Show, and we'll be right back. We're going to have two special final guests for 15 minutes. Graham Rutherford and Jeffrey Davis.
Zigzag is gone, Jesus.
Runway's under about 3 feet of water. I can make out all the runway markings.
Abaco Air is gone. Yeah. Cherokee's gone. Underwater.
Fire station is gone.
Fire station's on. Jesus.
Yeah, look at the background.
Oh my God, what's this? Oh my God! Wait, come over here. Let me see this. Let me see this. Momento. He can turn. Oh!
Final one, two final guests. They're well known to you. One is sitting beside me, Mr. Graham Rutherford, and of course in Florida, all the way from Florida, we have international correspondence, I should say. Mr. Jeff Davis is joining us by way of social media. And we thank you, Jeff, for joining us. Before Jeff starts, let me say this. I hope that this show is an eye-opener for some. I want the powers that be to see this show. We want more Abaconians out there. If you have the chance and an opportunity to call in, drop a message, say something to us, so that maybe we could reach out to you if we can by video, and we can have this conversation with you about what's going on in Abaco. And we wish Louis well in his efforts to try to get into Abaco to help out in that difficult time. Welcome Jeffrey Davis to the show. Before I welcome Graham Weatherford, we have to welcome Jeff Davis. Jeff, how you doing?
It's always great to see you to be on set with you today, Fayne.
Yep.
We reach our nation. We love you all. We love our people. And of course, it's a great day that social media allows us to have a conversation.
Absolutely. Listen, social media will hopefully make a difference into all of this. I'm trying to get someone on the ground, Jeff, as soon as I can. I want to hear the real story. Zed Nelson's not going to carry the real story. Jeff Davis, Graham Weatherford, Fayne Thompson, people like that, Omar Smith, they're the ones who are going to be carrying the real story about what's going on in Abaco and Grand Bahama this time. But Jeff, what's your take on what's been happening to your country? What's your take?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that my Davis family comes directly from Abaco out of Fort Hill to Morris Island and Murphy Town. And so are my Hill family from Waterkeene, my Rowe family from Androma to Home Draw, and of course my Roman family team from the United States to Home Draw before moving to Bimini. So what we're talking about the Northern Bahamas is literally our home, not just from the fact that it is the Bahamas, but it is our traditional home. It is the place of our forefathers' bondage, and we love the fact that our nation is an archipelago, and we were treated as such. Therefore, when one nation community hurts, the entire nation hurts because even our city, Nassau, the capital, is under direct loss of power. So it is a great time for us to pull together, pool our resources, and do the right thing.
What are you hearing, Jeff, about what's going on? What are family members telling you about what's going on in Abaco? Are we getting a good picture of it, or do we need to find our own filter? Are we getting a good picture, or is the story really not being told?
We have the correct picture with the satellite industry, with drones, and with social media. People are on the ground, companies are reaching out. We have operated by satellite telephone, and therefore we are, just like we are there, actually we can overview better by being away from the place, except that on the ground, there are people who are feeling the trauma, the terror, the loss of life, the smell and the scent, and the destruction that's right before our eyes. We are not getting a proper response and coverage by ZNet. And we are not satisfied with our government's effort to slow down red tape and to bring the bureaucratic situation out of a national crisis headed for unknown in our country.
Absolutely, absolutely. Graham Weatherford is also here with us. Everybody knows Graham. We're gonna bring in Graham now so he can give us his take on what Jeff has said and what some of the things that you may have heard Mr. Louis Georges say. It's going to be important that we get the fuller picture. Jeff, we're getting very, very serious reports about social unrest, shootings in Abaco, looting, armed robberies, etc., going on in that particular community. Let me turn to Graham. Give us your take on what's been going on recently. Graham Weatherford.
Well, I want to thank you for letting me come today. And I went on another TV show. I can say it on this platform, Clint Watson, and I said, I don't want to be negative, and I don't want to talk about what has happened, the preparation that we would have done before the hurricane. And our Prime Minister is doing his best, so we need to commend him and try help him instead of bashing him, which I've seen everyone do. It doesn't make no sense to bash the Prime Minister. It makes sense to help. Like, I'm looking on Facebook right now, and Spanish Wells is actually loaded up all of their fishing boats, so they're not going out fishing. And my family's from Spanish Wells, by the way. And they're sending people and supplies to Abaco, which is their family, because a lot of people from Abaco and Spanish Wells marry. And so you see they're going to go and help. And the same thing with Long Island. Long Island helped after Hurricane Andrew and Spanish Wells. And you see how much food they're putting together to send over there. My only problem is, and I'm hearing all kinds of reports, but Marvin Dames, when going to Abaco to assess on the helicopter, he said, don't believe everything and don't share everything. So we're going to wait till the government tells us the truth. But the truth is very simple, Fayne and Jeff. There are terabytes of video, audio that are waiting to be launched as soon as you bring up broadband again. And I want to talk about some of the solutions, because we never should have lost communication in Abaco. In Arizona, in Texas, in Oklahoma, they have cell phone towers that are big around than 4 of me. And they're made out of galvanized, and they're in the ground 100 feet if they got to go down, 20 feet. And they come up out of the ground, and they cannot be taken out by a tornado, 500-mile-an-hour wind. So it is insane for us to have not put at least one of them in Freeport, one of them in Marsh Harbor on the Hill, so that people would have had a way to communicate. And we should only put in those types of towers when we rebuild Freeport. And like I told Clint Watson, this is the best time in the country's history. It's the worst, but it's also the best. It's opportunity like you wouldn't believe. Everybody is going to be employed, just in cleanup alone. Remember how much that guy made in Katrina and cleanup? He made so much money in cleanup, he went and bought a Luthra, the Cove Hotel. Remember that? Big announcement, Mr. Christie? Just from cleanup money from Katrina. So, it's an effort. But Jeff will weigh in. Jeff, there's no way we can allow the town planning to continue. We need city planning, and we need hurricane city planning. We can no longer build shanty buildings. And I'm talking to the people with money that put up little wooden cottages. No. They have to be hurricane resistant. And as we see, those things we used to look at as metal roofs, they fly off. You need a round structure, because a round structure cannot be destroyed easily. A lighthouse is round, and we put them in the water where the waves crash over them and the wind.
Let's talk. Aside from that, though, Glenn.
What has happened?
What
has happened?
You've spoken to family members, I'm sure. You have contacts down there. What are you getting from? Because we are in the dark. Zednas has put us into blackout mode, Jeff.
And then
we can't see what's going on, and they have the technology to open that up.
Satellite communication.
They have the technology. There's no question. Zednas can do it.
They could have had in a container on a hill, a sturdy steel container anchored down, bolted into the ground, a portable cell facility, which they've sent countless all over the Bahamas. And they could have pulled that out of the container the same day the wind stopped, and they could have erected the antenna, and you would have had communication, because that plugs
so what are you hearing?
Fiber optic cable.
What are you hearing?
Well, whatever I hear, and you knowing better than most as a former judge, you would know it's only hearsay. So I shouldn't repeat hearsay, because
we don't want you to
Marvin Dame said don't repeat stuff, but I'm going to tell you what family told me.
Let's stay focused.
I can only tell you, Jeff Davis, what family told me.
Yeah, go ahead.
What family told me is people went out on search and rescue missions. They were not armed. And when they returned home, they found that someone else was in their house and said, "You don't live here anymore." And they were armed with the weapons that were left home.
So we have people who are burglaring, seizing homes.
Allegedly, because I'm only telling you hearsay.
Yeah, well, you're not calling anybody's name, so you could repeat it.
Okay. Well, that is the allegation.
Jeff, we have
not nice.
We have a very important and important moment which now confronts us and confronts the country. A lot of complaints about being able to get in, violence on the street, threats of harm, threats between different communities, the ethnic wall of differences seems to be becoming an issue. Every once in a while I hear some epithet thrown at them Haitians, and it's sad, because even though you may be illegal, the United Nations Declaration on Human Rights mandates that we are all treated like human beings. So I don't know. I don't what you want to give us as your take, but give us some of your final thoughts, and then we invite Graham to say a few words, and then we'll tidy up. But I appreciate you coming in, and the way forward. If you've been watching the show, Omar had some important things to say about redesigning our Bahamas, about redesigning hurricane relief, etc., etc. Jeff Davis.
Yes, what we are in is we are in a third world colonial way of governing a nation, and we are missing the understanding of the archipelago and the capacity of the Americans next door, the greatest nation in the world, to respond. We are really facing this is the attrition from the storm. A second storm is brewing.
That's right.
In the things you just described.
That's right.
The fact that the community is multinational, multi-ethnic, and because of that, obviously then, stress and trauma brings out of our human character a sense of desperation, and the ordinary history of being neighborly is lost when there's a storm or a boat sinks or when we're in what is called catastrophic life-saving mode. So yes, there may be the looting. Yes, there may be these once part of the question of the community loss, perhaps all they ever had in life, because you came to the nation of the Bahamas for a second start, and your second start allows you to live in the shanty town or the jets of our nation, but you're obviously under stress, a double level of stress, so to speak. But when the nation, two cities like Freeport and Albuquerque, Central Albuquerque, Northern Albuquerque, went down simultaneously almost, today we have to not pretend like the conditions in the mud and the conditions in the pea is created overnight, destroyed overnight, not created overnight.
That's right. That's right.
So the angst and the animus, the anger and the distrust, the fear and human foible that exists, where people are suspicious and there's a language barrier. Je m'appelle Jeffrey Davis, je suis la professeur, j'habite au Tajuni. When we have language differences...
I understand everything you just said. Yep. You live in the United States, I get that.
Obviously, yes, so my point is, I'm a feeling because these are my people, whether they're from down south or whether they're from Albuquerque or Bahama. The point is our nation is under trauma and stress. This is a great time for visionaries, entrepreneurs, people who love the Lord, people who are what you call humanitarians, to take off the glove and invite a community response, not purely a governmental response,
Absolutely.
not purely a historic NGO agency like LIMO or NEMA as the case may be. The Americans are mobilized and they are under threat on the southeastern coast. So Freeport, a modern city, was deluged by water, still underwater, and my brother, who was a senior executive of Morocco, and my nephews are there, and my first cousins and brother family members by the hundreds living in Bahama. In the 80s, all my mother's 8 children lived in Freeport with our grandchildren. All our grandchildren were born in Bahama. What am I getting at there? We have to determine that our nation is under siege on land and sea. We have to determine that a war bomb hit us called, it's called Dorian. And in a war, we must therefore find law and order and humanity. We must find an organized way to respond in quick time, because time is life, time is money, and death is part of happening to our people. Lastly, I want to say, we don't want to see an outbreak after the storm with disease and animus and bitterness and a rush back to established territory. The government needs to really govern, and in the future, we need to have more autonomy on family island communities where they can, like a mayor can say my city is in trouble and not be afraid of some overlord in Nassau.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. That's Jeff Davis. Jeff, don't go anywhere. I'm going to say bye to you in a couple of minutes, but Graham, a final thought before we wrap up.
Really quick, I mean, it's simple. We don't want to see anything happen in any of the islands, any problems, right? But I think we, very disturbed. The first thing, I'm very disturbed at what Luby said, that nobody caught a helicopter ride and went over to even assess, and he made some good points, to speak in a native tongue and to explain what is going to happen and what people should do. And it's been how many days now?
5 days.
It is a total disrespect of the people who have of Haitian descent. They are Bahamian. They're not Haitian Bahamian. Okay, we get your terminology correct.
You can't tell people to call themselves. Let's talk about it.
I don't go around telling people I'm English, Irish, German, Bahamian. Do I? I'm a Bahamian. That's it.
But we know that you're Canadian Bahamian. Leave it alone. Let's go.
I'm a Bahamian.
Graham, let's finish it.
Right. So the fast ferries has come to the rescue, and I heard they may be doing a special deal to get people out. I'm not going to preempt what they're going to do. Spanish Wells has come to the rescue. Boats, they were planning. Foreigners from many different countries were trying to come and have been turned away yesterday. Boats came to Marsh Harbor, turned away. The only thing you need to have, Luby made a good point, government just needs to organize and then let the people, the civil service, the armed forces, the whatever, the customs, immigration, and defense force to keep order when the goods arrive, right? That's the only people who need to be on the ground. You didn't need to have no other force. If you put something in between that, you end up slowing down help. Remember, people can go 3 days without water. That's it. So if you want all the water to come to Nassau and then go over there and be distributed and all kind of other stuff, it allows for shrinkage, by the way, because we are Christian, we don't steal. It allows for problems. It should be going straight to that island, touching down on the airport or the harbor port. You got 2 ports, and we've got a lot of customs, immigration, and our police should have been over there. I don't need other police coming to my country when my people don't have a job. You know what? The thing is, Fayne, we have failed. Before the hurricane, we could have taken a high hill in Marsh Harbor. We could have anchored down 20 40-foot containers that are steel structures on high ground. And I mean anchored them down with steel spikes into the bedrock so they're not going anywhere. And they could have been opened up the day after the hurricane. And in those would have been bottled water, 3 bottles of water for every individual coming. Don't come twice, come the next day. Corned beef, tuna, baked beans. Stuff you could eat cold, stuff that will keep you alive. It would have been, if I was on any response team, that would be every beginning of every hurricane season on every island, you anchor down some containers. And even if water floods the container, all those items I mentioned are sealed. So when you take them out, you can open them and crack the seal and they're fresh. This is one thing you could do for disaster recovery the next day, because if people have the belly full,
Graham, we gotta wrap it up.
If they got food and water, they're not gonna fight. And that's how simple that is, eh? But I want to tell you one thing. Don't believe it's all true what you're hearing. But after Hurricane Andrew, there wasn't no looting and carrying on bad in Spanish Wells. They were going to current and helping people.
I appreciate you guys coming in, Jeff. It's special to see you. We're gonna call on you again in the future, because we think it's always a good commentary that we get from you when it comes to talking about things locally. We have to be a bit more sensitive about the cultural foibles and the cultural differences of our people. If I want to call myself whatever, that's my constitutional right. You know, or not a producer, can affect how we see ourselves or how I call myself. Sometimes I call myself Barbadian Bahamian. It is my right, and you have no right to even pass judgment on that.
But you're
let me finish. It's my show. So I say that to you with the greatest respect. It is when you tell people what they must be when you have problems. We've had a great show. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Graham. Thank you, Luby, and thank you, of course, Omar, and thank you, Mr. Producer, for an excellent show. God bless and keep safe to come on.
It was a good one.
Excellent.
Luby was good.
Mm-hmm.